Today, we are celebrating our 20th anniversary annual MLK Diversity Awards program. Over the past 20 years, many wonderful and deserving individuals, community groups, educational groups, and businesses have been honored and recognized. And I'd like to take a minute just now to ask all past award recipients who are with us this morning, all of our past award recipients, could you just please stand and be recognized? Thank you all for your dedication in promoting diversity and inclusion in our Tempe community. This day and this event, this 20-year tradition, is a wonderful and a vitally important celebration, for we stand here together, unified as a community of neighbors, families, and friends, and we do so in recognition of the great works of those leaders like Dr. King, whose tireless dedication and love for our fellow human beings and love for freedom, brought forth the most sweeping and powerful social reform in the history of our nation. Dr. Martin Luther King is described as being progressive, strong, and trailblazing, but most importantly, he was caring and compassionate. He worked tirelessly and courageously to bring us together as communities and as a nation during a really tumultuous time in our history. Tempe aspires to and embodies many of these same characteristics. You often hear Tempe being described as a progressive, strong, and trailblazing city. But the most important quality about Tempe is its compassion and its care. How we come together as a community to reach out to, understand, embrace, and care for all of the members of our community. And that is the passion that drives our success as a community and as a city. And with that, I'm proud and I'm honored to turn the program over to our mayor. Please welcome Mayor Mark Mitchell.
Well, thank you so much, Carl, and welcome, everyone. Happy New Year. All right. Well, good morning, and thank you all so very much for gathering here today to celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King and to support the City of Tempe's Martin Luther King Diversity Awards. I'd like to recognize my fellow council members that are with us and who are not with us today. I'd like to recognize our Vice Mayor, Raveen Arora. Raveen. Council members Colby Granville, Council members Randy Keating, Council members Lauren Kuby, Council member David Shapira, and Council member Joel Navarro. We also have our City Manager Andrew Ching here with us this morning, and our Deputy City Manager Stephen Methvin. At this time, I'd like to share with you a wonderful achievement by our Human Relations Commission. Earlier this year, the HRC, chaired by Carl Hermans, approached the City Council with an idea for a visual reminder of our commitment to being a welcoming and diverse city. Thus, the Tempe Welcomes You initiative was born. The Council immediately saw the value in such an endeavor, and we unanimously supported the campaign. The slogan, Tempe Welcomes You as You Are, has been incorporated into posters, even a Mill Avenue banner. These posters have been shared with our schools, businesses, and in all of our city buildings. We have copies of these posters right outside in our lobby when you first checked in. I would encourage all of you to make sure you pick up one of those after the breakfast this morning. You know, we're here this morning to honor the life of Dr. King in the most fitting way possible, by celebrating those in our community who are carrying his legacy forward. Dr. King often spoke about the importance of civic engagement and community service. He said everybody can be great because anybody can serve. You don't have to be and have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and verb agree to serve. You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love. We can celebrate the great legacy of Dr. Luther King on this special day by living by his words. When you sit and think about it, it's really so simple. You don't need to have any special skills or prerequisites. You just need to be willing and have a full heart and accepting and welcoming soul and the time to be there for everyone, even someone. Today, we are going to recognize a few individuals who have these attributes, who have found inspiring ways to answer Dr. King's call to serve others. I am grateful to be here and to recognize the honorees, the hard work, and their accomplishments. These honorees make Tempe strong. And you being here this morning to help celebrate their accomplishments, our diversity makes Tempe even stronger. You see, there is something that we all know here in this room and in our city, that diversity is one of our greatest assets. A diverse community is one that is more creative and more innovative. And creativity and innovation are attractive to business, college students, families, who are also deciding to put down their roots. We are proud of the long-standing commitment of diversity in the city of Tempe, from a non-discrimination ordinance and charter amendment passed in 2014 to the annual Unity Walk that is coming up at the end of this month, to our Welcome campaign, as I mentioned earlier. We are always looking to protect and to celebrate the great diversity of our city. In Tempe, this work happens every day, all year round. It's why we created our diversity office back in 2002 to ensure our commitment that translates to actions and that diversity and inclusions remain a central part of how we do business in Tempe. I am proud of the great work that our diversity office and our Office of Strategic Management and Diversity does, including organizing this great breakfast. Please join me in thanking our strategic management team and our diversity staff, Rosa Inchausti. Where's Rosa? Thank you, Rosa. Of course, Jenny Belusic, as well as Megan Hutchinson. In Tempe, we are working together to look at all the areas where we can be a great leader for Arizona and our nation when it comes to diversity, inclusion, and equality. I am proud to announce that this year, yet again, Tempe got a perfect score on the Human Rights Campaign Municipal Equality Index for the 4th year running. And actually, that's right, with all of our bonus points, we're really above the perfect score. But really, who's counting? Still, the work protecting those in our community, no matter their race, religion, age, gender, or sexual orientation, is never done. We've seen it firsthand over this past year with the white supremacist rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, and a national rise in hate crimes. It is clear that we must remain vigilant as we move forward in our daily lives. We must share a message of equality and inclusion every day. We must go out of our way to embrace those around us for who they are, and most of all, embrace kindness and the act of giving of ourselves. And I guarantee you that in Tempe, these are the values that we will continue to protect and expand. We'll live the truth of our core values, diversity, inclusion, and fairness, and I can guarantee you that. This morning, I am so proud to celebrate the honorees who are working tirelessly to give back to our community. Today's honorees truly embody the spirit of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., his spirit of activism, community service, and passion that make a difference. I am inspired by the work of the honorees and grateful for their contributions to our community. And just remember that you too can serve. All you need is a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love. Now I'm honored to now introduce our keynote speaker, Raveen Arora. So please help me welcome our keynote speaker, Raveen Arora. Raveen is an entrepreneur, an author, public speaker, humanitarian, professional chartered accountant, and an international management consultant. A refugee child who made education his priority and who has traveled to almost 90 countries, Raveen is the embodiment of ethics, humility, integrity, transparency, and sincerity. His wide travels, speaking engagements, and encounters with the likes of Mother Teresa, heads of states, celebrities, and the Pope have expanded his horizons and even made him eminently respected as a citizen of the world. Raveen embraced an extremely blighted, run-down, and economically challenged part of Apache Boulevard here in Tempe for his Dhaba, India Plaza Cultural Center. He has been pivotal in the redevelopment of the light rail in Tempe and the rebranding and transformation of the Apache character area. He has built a center with an economic impact of over $50 million. His center and surrounding areas are safe, crime, and drug-free. A tireless, unassuming, and humble business person and advocate of the restaurant industry, Raveen is the recipient of many honors, awards, and recognition, both within the industry and outside. He has put the restaurant industry in the forefront of business excellence, including adopting diversity and inclusion in his daily operations. He is constantly mentoring his employees and staff to eliminate implicit bias. In 2017 alone, Raveen was honored with the National Face of Diversity American Dream Award, Arizona's Restaurant Neighbor Award, the Arizona Ambassador of Hospitality Award, the APCA's Trailblazers Award, and the Scottsdale Chamber's Microbusiness of the Year Award. Raveen is a member of the Arizona Restaurant Association, United Food Bank, local Chamber of Commerce, the National Diversity Council, the Tempe Community Council, Sister Cities International, and humanitarian outreach agencies, and the Kiwanis Club of Tempe, and a number of Arizona State University organizations. Beyond that, he is privileged to serve on a number of global boards, including Sister Cities International, Alliance International, and Think Human Global Initiative, and Project Humanities. Please help me give a great Tempe welcome to our Raveen Arora.
I don't know what else to say, because I don't like to talk about myself, but I can at least tell you that I'm truly honored and humbled. When I was young, we always used to say, there are no goodbyes in history, because it'll always say, until we meet again. So here I am, as a past recipient of this coveted honor. I know what it has done to me, what it has meant to me, and what it means to all these champions of diversity, because diversity is not just a look good, feel good thing, it's a lens. It's a lens that we need to adopt to promote, seek, and identify talent. I look back almost 50 years ago. It was, I think, 16th of February, 1959, walking back from school alone. My grandfather was waiting near the house, and he rushed me. He says, no, you can't go up, we have to go. And he huddled me into a very crowded streetcar that we called the tram. I dare not ask where we were going, because it was Grandpa. And I thought he's going to take me to a soccer match, because that was my biggest prize that I would get from him. After half an hour ride, we walked briskly, and I was whisked into an auditorium that said USIS, United States Information Services. He said, shake hands with this young man. I stretched my hand, nervously shaking, and the gentleman, he was in his late 20s or maybe 30. He extended his hand and gave me a very warm handshake. He says, "I am Martin." I sat down with my grandfather, not knowing what it's going to be. After a few minutes, he was introduced as a young black pastor from America who had adopted and was a devout follower of Mahatma Gandhi in Calcutta. He was here, and that was Dr. Martin Luther King. He was with his wife, Coretta King, and his dear friend, Dr. Reddick. I got to spend 20 minutes with him one-on-one because he talked about nonviolence, he talked about voting rights, he talked about the new dawn, which was very foreign to me. I was 11 years old. He talked to me about negative liberty, genuine equality. It was all flying over my head, but I was so mesmerized, especially when he was talking about nonviolence. And I remember him distinctly saying that he came to India not as a tourist, but as a pilgrim, because Gandhi was his idol. Gandhi was his idol. And his compassion that I felt, or the humility, the way he was speaking with his dark, piercing eyes, deep piercing eyes, because we hadn't heard much about him at that time, then the message resonated with me. This was the message I would get every Thursday from Mother Teresa, who I was working and volunteering with. That it's about humility, it's about compassion, it's about dignity, it's about decency. So I was kind of transformed, and I asked my grandfather on the way back, Grandpa, what was this all about? Because I was always learning. He says, no, Gandhi had a lot of followers. In fact, long before Dr. King came, Benjamin Mays met with Gandhi in 1935. And so did the first black Nobel laureate, Ralph Bunche, who created the State of Israel, Palestine. He was influenced by him. And so was Rustin, Bayard Rustin, and many, many more. And Gandhi's ways were the only ways to conduct your life peacefully. It's a peaceful coexistence. Because if we resort to violence, if we did eye for eye, the whole world would be blind. I said, I get that, but I'm a product of violence. I'm a product of hatred. I'm a refugee child. Grandpa, how can you say that? He said, no, we need to get over it. Get over it. I said, no. I am consumed by the flames of distress because my parents had to live for 10 cents, under 10 cents a day because they had nothing. 14 million people were displaced. A million people were killed. And as a refugee child, food is at a premium. I had to walk 5 miles to school every day because they couldn't afford a school bus. We had to go every week for the rations, long, lonely walks to the ration shop. And guess what? They were not distributing food that day. They were dispensing poverty. And poverty, when you know poverty, all you feel is either you can be very hungry and angry because that becomes your best friend. I was raised in Calcutta. Calcutta was considered, even though it was the second largest city in the British Empire, the second most important city, yet that city was called the greatest slum in the world, a black hole, where over 500,000 people slept on the pavements, homeless, penniless, empty bellies. But it was a city of contrast, a tantalizing city where I found there was compassion, there was dignity, and that's where Mother Teresa found her calling. And I thought, this is Calcutta. Where am I? Why did my parents have to be here? Why me? Why me? Why me? Then comes Dominique Lepere. He writes The City of Joy. He called it the City of Joy, a city where he could find the soul of humanity, a city where he could find compassion, a city where he could find diversity, a city where he found compassion and decency. Even though they were poor, it taught me how to be tender, how to be humble. That was the City of Joy. In my later years, I was, of course, growing up. I was blessed to work with Mother Teresa. I met Dr. Nelson Mandela, Muhammad Ali, President Carter, and many heads of states, including the Queen. All I learned was humility was my only way out. Because what happened just as the train ride in South Africa transformed Gandhi, it changed the course of action for him. The Montgomery bus ride of Rosa Parks changed Dr. King's course. These long walks, empty stomach, meetings with these people transformed me too. It became a life of service. I left Calcutta thinking that I will make it big, corporate greed, young chartered accountant, author, everything in the world that I had never seen came to me at my beck and call, meeting, feeling important, flying the Concorde, sailing the QE2. All of that came, but then came 40 years later and 90 countries later, I found my Calcutta again. I found it in Tempe. I came to Tempe and I fell in love with it because Tempe is diverse, Tempe is inclusive, Tempe is multiracial, Tempe is multilingual, Tempe is tolerant. Tempe has it together. Tempe is together. You know why? Because not just the elected leaders, but the business community and the residents have one thing in common: make Tempe home for all, a true city of joy. That was my Calcutta, Tempe. But I did not lose sight of Dr. King's legacy. I did not lose sight of Gandhi's thing. Dr. King's life was cut short by an assassin's bullet. By an assassin's bullet. His fault, trying to heal a divided nation. But did his message die? No. I recall seeing a cartoon in a Chicago daily in 1968, soon after Dr. King's assassination. It depicts Gandhi telling Dr. King, the odd thing is that these assassins feel they have killed you. It stops there, the cartoon. He's sitting, Martin Luther King is leaning towards him, and Gandhi is telling him, the assassins think they have killed you. They did not kill Dr. King, they just killed his body. Because he continues to inspire and illuminate all hearts and spirits. Dr. King's teachings, his perpetual quest for truth, decency, and respect continues to illuminate humanity, all of us, on economic issues, poverty, race relations, and global peace. Is Dr. King's dream still alive? Yes, it's very much alive. It's no longer a black dream, it's no longer a brown dream. It's my dream, it's your dream, it's our dream. It's the only dream that embraces humility, the only dream that embraces courage. It's the only dream that embraces humility, the only dream that embraces the truth. And the truth is hard. We've made some progress, a lot of progress these last 40 years on civil rights. But I think more than civil rights, what he was after was human rights, how we treat people. Celebrating him is celebrating humanity. But we've got to understand what the core was. The core was respect, decency, and honesty. While we have made progress, I still feel we still suffer from our own blind spots, what I call subtle bias. We all have subtle biases, and the core of these subtle biases is gender equality, is LGBT, it's sexual orientation, it's age, it's ethnicity, it's about race. To me, there's only one race, and that's the human race. Okay? To me, that's the only race. It's human race. The other race I know is a race to finish, because diversity is here to stay. Diversity is not something that is going to go away. Diversity is here to stay. It's an endless journey. It's a work in progress. And I assure you that diversity is the only form of human existence that cannot be eliminated by hatred, violence, indifference, or intolerance. We have to accept diversity, or we will cease to exist, or Tempe will cease to exist. The world will cease to exist because we don't have that time and the energy to keep fighting. Every fight ends in a ceasefire. Every fight ends in a division. And I know that for 70 years I carried those scars. Dr. King's dream is so much alive, but we should acknowledge, just like his idol was felled by an assassin's bullet, Gandhi died, so did our beloved president. Lincoln was shot. Why? His fault? Again, healing a divided nation. While he was lying in state, then Secretary Stanton remarked, this one is for the ages. 100 years later, Dr. King is for the ages. It's not for today, it's not for tomorrow. His message is going to be eternal. His message of peace, his message of harmony, his message of truthfulness in the quest is going to be very relevant. It's going to be very relevant. Today's, our younger millennials have come to realize that diversity is the result of social evolution, an evolution that understands and embraces not just demographics, but psychographics. It's more about that. True diversity can be achieved if we can navigate those cultural minefields successfully. We come from different parts of the world. I always give the example of a palm. 5 fingers, God did not make them equal. So did he not make everybody equal, but this becomes a fist, this becomes a hand. Everything is, we need each other. We need each other. Multiculturalism that results from diversity of thought, diversity of opinion, diversity of expertise, diversity of personality will bring us true results. That is where we should be targeting, is true diversity. For that, we have to understand our own blind spots. We have to know our blind spots. We have to look ourselves in the mirror and see our blind spot. If we don't know our blind spots, we won't know the truth. And to know the blind spots, we have to ask the truth, tell the truth, embrace the truth. Only then, when we are truthful to ourselves, to our core, will we figure out that we can make meaningful conversations. Not just conversations that are politically correct, but these will be conversations where you are not going to be judged. You're not going to be judged, but people will connect with each other. We will listen, not to respond, but to understand. We will talk, not to out-talk, but to communicate. And we will connect with humanity, we'll connect with people. Because when bias sets in, which is, I call a silent language, it's a bigger curse. It's worse than blatant discrimination. Because we are preset in our mind, we have pre-phobia, we want to understand, but that's not true diversity. True diversity is about uplifting others. And becoming a mentor, becoming a facilitator, becoming an enabler. That's why, in my years of service, I've realized that tongue is mightier than the sword. You can goad me, but I will not react. I will not react. I'll be as humble and as kind and as patient as I can be, because all I have learned is to be tolerant amidst intolerance. I have learned that. Because what I think is going to be my words. Our words will become our actions. Our actions will become habits. And habits form character. And character defines our destiny. That is why, if you go back to Dr. King's speech, what did he mention? I have a dream. But it's not about him. It's about we. It's about us. And what is the content of the character? Character means it's not just good character. We were told when we were young that if your health is lost, you may lose something. If wealth is lost, nothing is lost. But if character is lost, everything is lost. And character means accepting people, accepting human race the way it is, accepting our differences. We have to unite not despite our differences, but through our differences. That's what we have to unite ourselves with. Because what we see, because our eyes see color. God has no color. Religion has no color. Spirit has no color. Our eyes see what our mind wants. What our head says, we see. So we've got to come up with the blind spots so we can correct ourselves. So those of you here, my friends, who are empathizing with me, my thinking, because I come from a very humble background, so I can talk like this. I'm a man of color, but I don't see color here. I see human beings. I see human beings. I don't see your rank. I don't see Mayor Mitchell. I don't see the mayor in him. I see Mark. I don't see the police chief's Moyer. I see Sylvia. And that's how I address her. I never call her the chief because she's human. And all I see is each one of you. I feel each one of you in me because we are the community. We are Tempe. Together, everybody achieves more, what we call it. Because that's Tempe to us. We are together. In it together because alone we can do little, but collectively, together, we can do a lot. So this lot, when we are celebrating all these sterling winners, the magnificent champions of diversity, they have to realize that it's not just about today. They have to stay focused. They have to stay committed. They have to stay loyal to the course. This is humanity, 101, what I call it, because it's a triumph of will. It's not easy. It's a triumph of resolve, because we have to stay resolute. It's a triumph of conviction. It's a triumph of confidence. In the end, it's a triumph of character. Till we can build that, we have long ways to go, and we should wake up every day feeling blessed that we still have the power and courage to fight this curse, this cancer. We have to fight the cancer of subtle bias, implicit bias, because we have to shed it for our own sake, because all men were born equal. That's what the gospel said. But there are more equal than others because that's what George Orwell's Animal Farm was. But we are not in an animal farm. We are in Tempe. We are in this country. We are the United States of America. And we are all part of humanity. Thank you so much.